Today's Friday, January 15th, 2021, and I'm going to read a little bit from Revelation. And it's not generally the place that you would think of when you would think of looking for advice, but it's inevitably what I landed on when I was just looking for where did Jesus give us, people like us right now, where did he give us advice for what we should be doing now? And it actually makes perfect sense in the book of Revelation. So John of Patmos was talked to by an angel and was given a message by Jesus to 7 churches, and it was full of advice for these people. And I think it's very applicable to today because back then this was after Jesus had already died and risen and is now at the right hand of God. So people in the exact same situation as us today. And this was the very first church that was given advice. This was the advice given. Revelation chapter 2, verses 4 and 5. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. Remember therefore from whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent. So Jesus tells them twice to repent. I always bring up how important repenting is. It's something that you should do every day. And it's just something that doesn't get talked enough about. And people love to talk about once saved, always saved. People love to talk about all you have to do is believe. Well, if all you have to do is believe, then how come Jesus told us over and over again that we have to repent? And repenting is not just the same thing as believing. I mean, of course, believing is extremely important. And I'm not saying it's not important, but repenting is very, very important. And Jesus told us to do it over and over again. And this in particular, it just feels like Jesus is talking to people like us, because the 2 verses right before it, Revelation chapter 2, verses 2 and 3, I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil, and thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and hast found them liars. Okay, and I thought this part talking about lying apostles is very interesting, because you know my opinion about Paul, and I'm not anywhere close to the only person that has this opinion. A lot of people can tell that Paul is a snake, is a phony. And I think it's really obvious when you just look at modern churches and how they sell a plastic version of Christianity, and they almost all worship Paul more than they worship Jesus. And anyways, I'll just leave it at that. I'll probably talk about that more in other videos, of course. So just continuing, and has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake has labored and has not fainted. So this is just what I connect with. I feel like I'm here, that I'm trying to put in all these works because I can't bear any of those evil people, and calling out the phonies, false apostles, etc. And then so what Jesus had to say was that he has someone against us because thou hast left thy first love, because we have left thy first love. And not saying that I've totally gone off path or anything like that. I've always tried to keep the Bible, and I try to talk about Jesus a lot throughout my work, but it's just one of those things. He's telling us to not get stuck down in these rabbit holes. I try to bring up, but not enough, how there's this idea of a rabbit hole versus an umbrella, and you don't want to get caught going down these rabbit holes. It's more of an umbrella, an open, all-encompassing truth, not digging yourself deeper and deeper into something that ultimately doesn't matter. And that's why, my other channel, I'm just going to leave it like that. I just want to keep doing these little Bible things, and my intention is to continue with the community and to keep talking about what is important. And right now, that's just trying to figure out what we need to do next, and bringing more people to the truth, and yeah, I think we really do just need companionship now. I'll try to do just frequent things, and hopefully we can have some nice discussions in the comments, and hopefully it raises our spirits and allows us to be more fruitful and stay on track with what really matters and remember our first love, what this is all supposed to be about. And that's getting to heaven. We figured it out. I mean, it wasn't us. Jesus showed us the truth. He opened our eyes, and we have to remember that. I mean, it's a part of me thinks about that every day. Oh yeah, we figured this out. You know, Jesus showed it. We know the end. We're already there. And it's really easy to get sidetracked and paying too much attention to the news and things that don't matter. So I just want to keep focused on what matters. And I also want to go back, like thinking back of my videos like 2 years ago or something. I just had so much more passion and energy to put into things like Bible studies. And so I think all of that is remembering your first love. Have to go back to that. It is like a relationship. Relationships, they can start to grow. You feel like you get in a rut and you need to go back and remember why you love this person. And it's just a normal part of life. You get stuck in ruts and you need to shake yourself out of it. Just something interesting. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it's just something that comes to mind. How I'm not glorifying Japan or saying that they're amazing, because there's a lot of robotic, very satanic people over there. It's a strange place, but it's a glimpse into the past. And there's just this thing about Japanese culture. You can be an apprentice for like 10 years at a pottery place, and you can never touch clay. And there's just something really interesting about that. You could spend 10 years as a potter apprentice and you've done nothing but sweep floors and maybe mix the clay after 7 years or something. It's just a really interesting perspective that is not like what you might say a more Western. I'm not trying to do a East versus West. It's more like a tradition, times past. How things used to be in times past versus now. And I just thought this was a pretty funny read, just how it's all pomp and I don't know, everything about the Western, it's all meta. People get so meta about it and want to fluff up their feathers. And this is just, you can pause these and read them and compare and contrast and just think about this. Matthew chapter 5 verse 5, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And Matthew chapter 18 verse 3, and said, verily I say unto you, except you be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. So going back to your first love, remembering that we don't have this all figured out, to stop chasing rabbit holes and think umbrella, don't think rabbit hole. Open, everything, all encompassing, not zeroing in on the minutia of something that doesn't matter. And becoming a child again, opening up yourself to the possibility of learning and not thinking that you have everything figured out. And we need to learn from the Bible and from Jesus Christ's words specifically. And that's what I hope to do. God bless everyone.